How's everyone doing? Thanks for joining me on my small engine repair channel. Today's project's on this single stage yard machines snow blower, and the problem we're having with it is the auger engagement cable is all messed up. So let's take a look at how we're going to fix that up and get this thing back blowing snow. Alright guys, so the cable comes from the top handle up here, comes down the length of this and kind of in behind the frame of the snowblower here. There is an access sort of panel here that you can take off. It'll expose the belt and the pulley system that gets engaged when we pull on the cable up top on the handle. So let's take this off. It's all 3/8 bolts here. Alright, so let me take you in a little closer, show you what's going on here. So like I said, it comes from this handle, which I believe it shouldn't really hang down like this, but we'll figure something out with that. As you can see, the cable's all frayed. It comes through this little sheathing in behind, and it comes down right here. There's a kind of a little clip there, a couple of wings. We're going to push those two tabs together on either side with a pair of pliers. That's going to get it through this little bracket here. And then, of course, we've got to disconnect it from this arm. So what this does is when you pull tension on this cable from up top, it actually pulls this arm down and engages this belt to drive this pulley, which is attached to the auger system, from this pulley, which is attached to the engine. So this one's running all the time, but because it's kind of loose, right? It's not engaged. So this will spin without the belt actually engaging this pulley, okay? But then when you pull tension on this tensioner pulley, it kind of engages everything and then drives this off the engine. So we need to just disconnect this. There's a spring at the end of this cable that we have to disconnect through that hole. And then we have to, like I said, push these together, have that little plastic piece fall through there, and then we'll be able to pull it out from the back side here. We'll have to cut this cable tie here, and then we'll be able to pull it out that way. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to see if I can get this pulley, this cable off this little sort of guide or pulley here. Give myself a little more slack. And then I'm probably going to have to, easiest way probably just to get this belt off and out of the way. That belt looks like it needs to be replaced as well. It's all cracked. So now I should be able to actually probably disconnect. You don't have to do this probably, but I'm going to just disconnect that spring. First I'm going to see where it connects here on the back side. Actually, I'm going to redo that spring here. Just because it's probably going to be such a pain in the butt to try and get that back on later on. Oh, that spring comes out the bottom here. So actually it's probably not that bad. The only thing that does is it kind of just releases all the pressure on this guy here. Makes it super easy then to just pull that out. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to lift this up. Then you want to get a pair of pliers and those two tabs right there. You push those two together and you try to, at the same time, push this through the little circular opening that it's coming through. Those tabs just kind of keep it in place. And there you go. And then this hopefully was built properly so that you can just pull this through from the back side here. Okay. All right, and now we got this end out. Now I'm just gonna snap off this, break off this twist tie, or this zip tie. And then we come up here, and then to get it off here, sometimes you could just pull it off by hand, but sometimes you need a flathead screwdriver. I'll show you that. So what I do on these, they're very similar to a lawnmower cable, honestly. Just stick my screwdriver down in here in between. It just comes right off. And then of course the last piece is up top here. And this, you can see it actually is broken as well. It's like snapped. So I'm gonna have to finagle this through. It's hard to do one-handed, so I'll probably just put the camera down here, and if I need to, I'll just cut that cable right off. Alright, so I got the cable off. Kind of had to snap off the end there. And I got a new cable here that I'm going to be ready to install. Here's the part number. It's a MTD part number. If it's not 746, it's 946. A lot of times they just change the 7 to 9 for MTD parts. I just got this from your favorite online retailer. I don't know, 20 bucks or less. I can't remember exactly the cost. Of course, you know, made in China. But first thing I'll do is take it out of the package and just compare the two, make sure I have the right one. Alright, so when I compare the two cables, they are identical. So we got a good replacement part here. You can see that actually that opening is actually a little bit smaller, but that's just going to probably provide hopefully some more tension. Hopefully it doesn't impede us from getting it on. So let's go ahead and just put it on in the reverse. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is just I'm actually going to work on getting the bottom part hooked up first. Actually, it tends to be the more difficult part, so you kind of have to feed it up and through here. I'm not going to be able to do this all one-handed, so I'm going to have to put you down and just kind of feed it through that same opening where it came out from on the back side here, which is, if I line you up here, that opening is going to be right here. So I'm just going to try and feed that through. Could be the, there we go. So you can see I got it through that little hole. Now I need to give myself, I need to kind of get that whole thing through this little opening right here. And I might just need to, there we go. And that has to go around this little pulley, remember? Now it looks like there's a little, I didn't notice this before, but there's a little sort of bracket underneath here to kind of keep that cable engaged there. Okay, and then we can hook it into that arm just like so, and then we'll pull the slack from the other end of the cable. There we go. Then the next thing we need to do is put this little spring back on here. And if you stick it up through the back side here, you might be able to grab it from up top and then up. Yeah, here we go. You can see it. It's kind of, you might not be able to see it. It's probably pretty dark, but the bottom end of that spring is caught in that little cutout there. And then I will, without letting it go, on the other hand, I'm just going to grab that real tight with my pliers and then hook it on up top there. Okay, so that keeps that return tension on that arm. All right, the other thing we got to do is we got to put this sheathing with those two wings on there. We actually got to push that through that little guide hole where it comes out, so it locks it in place. There we go, just like that, easy peasy. Now it's locked in there. Again, we'll put that tension back on the cable. You can see that's working perfectly as I pull the tension from the other side. Okay, just come up here. And a lot of times it's easier to put this cable in first. So it's just a Z-bend into that hole. And then you could worry about putting this little bracket back on to kind of keep it in place here. Now, again, this one is, looks like it's a little bit too tight to me, but just push it on by hand. So I'm gonna have to put you down here so that I can kind of spread these two pieces apart just a little bit as I'm trying to push it on. That little knobby here has to fit in this hole from the other side. All right, so this piece of plastic is a little on the cold side, so I don't want to snap this off. It's gonna have to be very ginger with this. Let's see, I've never had this problem before, honestly, but okay. Well, there you go. This is the differences between aftermarket and OEM stuff, right? All right, so even with two hands, and guess what I just did? All right, snap that guy right off. So that's going to be a problem. Should have done that in the first place. Now, of course, that's not going to hold this, but what we're going to do is we're going to let that cool off now, and hopefully it kind of retains that wider shape. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to fix this. There's a couple ways you could do that. It's not going to fix it perfectly, but it's going to be kind of a workaround. And since this machine is I'm going to give it for free to one of my neighbors, then it doesn't really much matter. Otherwise, I'd be on the hook for buying a new one. All right, so what I did was I drilled a hole on either side of where the cable comes through this bracket. And you'll see why here in a second. So I'm going to put 2 zip ties, one through each of these holes. Okay. And then I'm going to put my zip ties through the hole up here. Alright, and then from here what we're going to do is obviously we're going to zip up these zip ties. And what I like to do is to keep this little knobby piece in that sort of hole area so it's not sticking out. Okay, take this guy. Try and tighten them up as best I can. Alright, and then we're just going to cut off those 2 end pieces. And there we go. Now it's nice and secure. Now if you want, you can put maybe another zip tie all the way around these 2 zip ties, which I'll probably just do that just for added security. And then stick your Z-bend in up here. All right. So, and then what I would do is then wrap this up with electrical tape. So it's not sharp or anything like that. So I'll do all that. I'll come back, we'll put the belt back on, and we'll see how we made on here. Alright guys, so here's the finished product of all my workarounds. So I just put up a 3rd zip tie on the outside all the way around, tightened it up as tight as I could tighten it. This thing is about as tight or tighter than what it would be if it had that little nipple left on it still, so that should be no problem. The other thing I had to do was I had to move this bar actually down a little bit on the handlebars, because with it being too high up there, when I went to engage this handle, it would only go up this much, and then you would have to hold it there like that. So the problem with that, of course, is who wants to hold that like that all the time. So what I ended up doing was this hole on this side was already there. I just drilled a hole on this side to actually match it, like height-wise, and fit that in there like that. And then I also took one of these brackets from a lawnmower so that it wouldn't just kind of, this bar wouldn't just kind of flop down all the time, and then you'd have to grab it, pull it back up, and then you can re-engage it. So you can see here, it engages no problem. Everything looks good up top. If you take a look down here, that's non-engaged and then engaged. So it's pulling and putting plenty enough tension on this belt to drive this pulley and the auger blades. So I think this was a success, guys. I realized this was kind of a faux pas, but you know what? You got to make do with what you got sometimes, and that's a good little easy fix as long as you're not too worried about the cosmetics of it. But it's a snowblower, guys. Who cares? As long as it blows the snow. Really? Do we really care if there's some electrical tape on there? I don't know. It's up to you. Or you could just get a new cable and don't bust it the first time. So hopefully this was informative, guys. If you like the video, if it helped you out, please smash the like button, leave a comment. If you have any questions, please put them down below. I'll definitely get to those. And until our next project, take care.